but my name is Benita Cunningham, 52 years old. I'm from Hyperia, Alberta. I'm a grandmother of two, Ava and Jax, a mother of one, Brenton, and I have another grandbaby on the way. I come from a multicultural family. My mother's side of the family is 18. Two of them were deceased at birth, and there is 13 of them living. I lost my mother when I was 42, so no, I would have probably been 38. So she passed away from cancer. I lost my other aunt from cancer as well. That would have been 2 years ago, Cora. And then I lost my eldest aunt probably when I was 31, and she would have been, so the three oldest girls are deceased. Our family is a very close-knitted family. My grandparents are Bertha and George Cunningham. Bertha is a Gladue by maiden name, and George is a Cunningham. Yeah, I think when I grew up as a child that they were more my parents, even though they were my grandparents. In that day and age, we were more raised by our grandparents or whatever. To me, it was to treat everybody as you wanted to be treated, but not allow people to disrespect you because you were a human too. But also to be kind. My grandfather was military, so he taught us how to work, right? We were not allowed to depend on people. It wasn't we weren't allowed, but we were taught not to depend on people. That if we wanted to do things, we do it ourselves, because in life, not everybody is going to help you, right? But also, if you can, to lend a helping hand to other people, especially in your family, we were taught to help each other, to grow with each other, to be that, right? But it was also, there was love, and that came from my grandmother. On her side, she was like the mentor or whatever and stuff like that. He was the disciplinary and she was the one that was the loving type, right? And she taught us how to do the cooking and the taking care of the family and, what it meant to help each other out and whatever. She taught us how to do, the women things, the sewing, all of that, right? But more than anything, it was taught to love each other, right? And to be strong, not to, take defeat or let things down. And I think a lot of that originated from the lifestyle that they had in their day and age or whatever. Most of them was military, so it was all stern, right? A lot of us in the family thought, not us, because I did and I see things a little different than most, but a lot of the people thought it was a mean upbringing, but I don't think that it was. I think that he taught us that was how he was raised and that's how he was taught. And even though some people in tradition talk about things as a hardship, I think it was him trying to teach us how to make our way in life, right? And not having to ever be stuck, right? The grieving part he taught us is you grieve. You take your time to grieve, and once you're done grieving, you get up and you go, because you can't stay stuck in a rut. You can't stay there forever because life goes on, and you just cherish whatever you're grieving for or whatnot. I remember walking into when I was little, 4 years old, and I was in the house and they were just talking Cree, going back and forth, back and forth. And then I went out, and then I came back in. And when I opened the door, I could hear them talking Cree, but as soon as they heard the door open, they started talking English. And I used to think, that is weird, right? But that was because that was instilled in them, right? It was like an automatic, who is it before we can continue? Even then, they didn't realize it, but it was different. In my day-to-day life, sometimes I'm considered bossy, right? We'll say this by some people that come around or whatever. Because in my day-to-day life, I try to structure that into my family. My motto is, I'm not here to be your friend, but if you want to be my friend, then you need to show it, right? I'm not going to let you treat people in my presence with disrespect or whatever. And that is coming from our multicultural family. We have just about every race in our family, right? So how can you turn around and treat somebody that has different value or religion than you? I push that in my everyday life to my kids, right? And we do butt heads, but I also do allow them to be their own person, right? They if they want to choose, say I don't have a religion, I just believe in a lot of everything altogether, right? But if they want to be Catholic, maybe I don't want to be, but they can be that. You know, if they want to maybe, not have a job and they want to do something different as a career to supporting themselves, those are their choices that they're going to make in life. A lot of people look at the how would you say it, same-sex relationships. If they want to have the same-sex relationship, that's your choice. I don't judge you. You make your own decisions. But when it comes to values of the right and the wrong, that's where there's a difference. If I was to discuss matriarch and you were to say in your family who is a matriarch in your whole mother's family or whatever, I would say my grandmother. Why? Is because everybody went to her. Everybody, and I think with her it was because the nurturing and whatever and stuff like that, right? She was the mother of the family, and she was, I guess how you would explain it is when I grew up with my grandmother, the look I get is she was a sickly woman, right? She had diabetes. She had a leaking valve, so she couldn't have operations because of her diabetes, because of her leaking valve in her neck. And then she had rheumatic fever when she was young, and she almost died. And she had that in her blood, so they couldn't do operations. But she was always in and out of the hospital, in and out of the hospital. And then my whole life, I'm going to say up until I was about 25 as a kid, and I lived right beside him, I never seen her cry except for twice because she was in pain, right? But she did everything. She had 18 kids and she did all the cooking, she did all of that stuff. But anybody who came to her, she never turned them away. She never, nothing, right? So everybody, when they came into the house, it was all to her. To me, she was like a mother figure. So when I had boy problems or, girl things that came up, I won't be specifics or whatever, my mom was there. But my grandmother was the one that I knew in my heart that I could go and ask, and I was going to get the truth. There's never a negative. You know what I mean? There's never ever been. Like, I've had negativity and with my mom, right? With some of my family, but I've never had it with her. Never. Never, not once. And that's who my cookum was. I never had that with her either. As sick as she was, she was never negative. She was always there to help someone else. And maybe that's why me and your mom and Tammy get along so good. Because my cookum was like my mom, right? And I think Tammy carries a lot of that in her. A lot of it. I don't know if we choose who we're close to, but I know that whatever put us together, right? There was a reason for it. They say a lot of people who are into spiritual and into insight and intuition and whatever, They say as birth we choose who we want to be with and what family. And then when I was 16, I thought, why would I choose this family? Not to be mean, but why? What in me would choose this family if I was a soul up there to choose this family? And then I thought about it, and I've been through a lot of situations, and I've worked in a lot of situations that I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. So I do think I chose this family in this life. And I think it's because my soul is not a negative soul, and I wouldn't have learned that any other way but from the family that I'm in.
Yeah, I'm Meredith Wright. I was born and raised in Lloydminster. I work as a laboratory technician. I'm like an out trans woman. I feel like my immediate family wasn't very close with a lot of the extended family. So I feel like there's a bit of a disconnect there growing up, especially since I was like a very shy kid. So yeah, I think I want to make up for that going forward now. I think it definitely stems from Cookham's experiences. There was like a lot of trauma there that she didn't know how to deal with, which led to trauma for her children, which led to trauma for like my siblings, me, and my cousins. So I think they're all very like loving, even if we aren't good at showing it specifically, or maybe we're a little disconnected. I think there's still like a good family bond for sure. Yeah. There was a couple years during college where like I didn't really know myself and I was kind of figuring myself out. And this last like year or two, I think I really found that. And I'm much more comfortable as a person. So now I think the next step is just talking. I was just scared to tell them because it's such especially for the older people in our family and just older people in general really, is like they don't understand it at all. Like it's a very new topic for them, or I feel like younger people are like, yeah, I get that. Like, so it's hard to explain to older people, I think, is the main thing. So it took me a really long time to like tell my parents and then tell my grandparents. But like my sister was the first person I told, basically. So yeah. I think I definitely couldn't have done it alone for sure. Like I have a very close-knit like friend group, and like all of them are LGBTQ plus. So I think like with their support and like guidance, I've been really able to like not fear telling people, because I know like I have people I can like rely on and fall back on. And now that I've told most of my family, I have them too, and that makes me really happy. Yeah, a lot of people, I've seen like a lot of people like just hate trans people. And like when I talk to them about it, I feel like they don't really know what they're talking about. They've just seen like news and like not true stuff about trans people. So I feel like that can be, it's kind of similar to racism or like homophobia in the past, where like it's just these cycles of hate that people get into because they're scared. And I think we just have to like be kind and like show them it's something that they don't have to be scared of. I think that was that fear that I had where like I go from, before transitioning, it was scary because you're basically like um moving into like you're in a really normal role and you're moving into like basically a minority, and I think that's a very scary thing to deal with. It's okay to be you. Um and I think learning is one of the most amazing parts of life, and I think that's how we can all better ourselves. I want a future where you don't have to be afraid to be yourself, I guess. Where like it's okay to learn and okay to make mistakes. Yeah, I definitely like a future where it's okay to be true to yourself. Um, and it's okay to show love and be kind and all that stuff.